Learn about the Copilot capabilities of Dynamics 365 finance and operation apps, as well as how you can extend and build your own custom agent in Copilot Studio. Stay tuned. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Low Code Revolution Show. I'm Eliza. I'm a senior cloud advocate at Microsoft. And today we have a guest from New Zealand, one of our Microsoft MVPs, Kasun, who's going to show us the built in Copilot capabilities of Dynamics 365 finance and operations apps and how you can build a custom agent with Copilot Studio to work with your Dynamics 365 finance and operations apps. I'm now going to hand it over to Kasun, who's going to go ahead and introduce himself.
Thanks, Eliza. I'm Kasun Pathirana from Auckland, New Zealand. I've been working with Dynamics for more than 14 years now. I have worked with Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations apps, or we called Acceptor from 2009. And I have experience in implementing Power Platform solutions plus Dynamics 365 Customer Engagement or the CE apps. And currently, I'm working as a solution lead at Duco Consultancy. And fun fact about me, I love playing and watching cricket. And with that, I think let's move into the slides and we start with the session. So unlock AI in Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations (FNO) with Copilot Studio. So let's deep dive into the session. So let me take you a quick journey through the evolution of ERP systems. So the impact of the AI evolution for the ERP through the history, and so let's look at the era of the 1990s, pretty much. So it is basically, if you see, that's actually on-premise systems mainly used to record transactions. It was like a digital, filing cabinet basically, and useful but not very smart. Pretty much manual data entry process, dominant systems, and simple database management, limited integrations, but very basic reporting capabilities as well. And then come the cloud ERP 2000 era, pretty much. So that's where the ERP got better in database connectivity, introduction of the web-based systems, web-based ERP systems, and with improved user interfaces, business started making decisions based on data, not just the instincts, right? And then the next section, which is the from 2010 to 2020, ERP systems go through major transformation at this stage, and the cloud era took off, as everyone knows, making ERP accessible and more mobile friendly. Real-time analytics came into the picture, and then features marked the rise of smart ERP, right? As we move into the next phase, pretty much in 2015 to 2020 around, AI began to take a root with the introduction of machine learning and natural language processing and IoT integration, making ERPs much smarter and more intuitive. And also the reports actually become a bit more from the static reports. Also, you can see the predictive insights as well coming to the picture at this era. And crucially, this period also saw the rise of low code revolution, which is what we're discussing as well on the low code platform. On the low code revolution, platforms like Microsoft Power Platform empowered business users to create solutions pretty much easily with low code to extend the finance and operations apps solutions. So that's really critical and really important, so that you don't need to do huge complex customizations. You can leverage on the low code customizations, low code extensions pretty much on the ERP systems with the ERP systems. So then fast forward, move into the 2020 2025 era, and we are stepping into the era with the advanced AI in ERP. We are now talking about AI powered automation that can take decisions and act, not just suggest, but can act as well, take decisions as well. Well, generative AI helps users write reports, summarize insights, or even recommend the actions. Right. So what began as system of records initially. Now we are into the era of system of actions. So that's the ERP revolution, which we can see now. So with that thought, I will move into the Copilot features in Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations apps. So let's go through some of the key features in all Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations apps and Dynamics 365 Commerce apps. What are the Copilot features available and in Dynamics 365 Finance apps? So let's look at the generative help and guidance with Copilot, the first feature. So if you think of a Copilot as a smart guide sitting right next to you in your finance and operations app, that's the generative help and guidance, which actually can help you to answer, respond on the context aware help with the power of the generative AI, and it also understands the Microsoft's entire document library from the Microsoft Learn itself. So it can give you answers based on that, and we will look at a demo later on that. And also the next feature which we can see is the workflow history summary. So that, imagine that the previously in the workflow, when you have a workflow, you need to go through the entire workflow to find out what has happened, where it is. But with the workflow history summary, you don't need to scroll through a long workflow history. It is trying to combine and show you who approved what, when, and why, with a summary instantly giving you. So we'll look at that as well in a demo short while. And enhanced user feedback for Copilot related experiences is pretty much giving the product feedback to the Microsoft. And that's on the feedback side of it. And then next you have chat with finance and operations data. So this is actually leveraging your data, that you can check to your data from Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, leveraging dual write and virtual entities. So we're going to look at an example that later on the demo itself. How do we use that in the Copilot Studio and add as a knowledge source, and then that can actually help us to get answers from the data from Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. And next up, we have Immersive Home. So the Immersive Home is actually helping users to work in hand with the AI agents. So the AI agents are coming into the picture as well. There are a few AI agents which I'm going to talk about in a future slide. So this immersive home is pretty much helping to have the AI agents work uh, with the important work items pretty much assigned to them. And next up, the customer insights by Copilot. So that is actually when a customer enters to the store, then store staff may be looking at customer and be able to analyze the customer purchasing patterns, timeline of activities, including their behavior patterns and all sort of information on the customer side. And Store Report Insight by Copilot. Store Report Insight by Copilot provides natural language summaries of store reports in Dynamics 365 Commerce Store app. And next up, you have Enable Copilot Statement Posting Summary. So this gives you posting summary in the store financial workspace and statement page. Pretty much you have AI summaries. And streamlining your merchandising process with Copilot based insights. So this actually gives you proactively get a comprehensive summary of insights for the merchandising configurations of your retail channels. And this actually summarize of insights to simplify your merchandising workflows. So next up, you have use of Copilot Insight Builder. So that actually in Dynamics 365 Commerce e-commerce website. So it helps you to build, enrich product detail pages, pretty much. And next up in Dynamics 365 Finance, we have a collection coordinator. So the collection coordinator workspace can be used either with or without its AI-powered the functionalities, but that will give you a summary as well on the collection summaries using the AI. And customer page summary, AI generated summary of customers account on all customer pages that you can see the customer page summary. With that, we will move into the features, the Copilot features, which are in Dynamics 365 project operations as well as Dynamics 365 supply chain management. So let's look at in Dynamics 365 Project Operations, Copilot for Project Overview. So this is powered by Azure OpenAI. So the Copilot and then Dynamics 365 Project Operations helping project managers work smarter by generating task plans, creating status reports, or answering questions through a conversational chat. And next up, you have the Copilot. Use Copilot in time entry. So actually, Copilot can be leveraged to do the time entry, which is saving your time and then the time. So reducing the time consumption is this area for the users, so that you can quickly enter your time entry details. And next up, we have AI summaries with Copilot. That's in Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management. So these is available. Many of the most used pages that in Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management, you have product over summaries and release product summaries and vendor summaries. So if you go to the vendor, you can see the summary of the vendor, purchase order summary, sales order summary. So you can see the summaries in different forms. That is a AI summaries with Copilot. And then you have analyze demand plans with Copilot. So that is a Copilot which can analyze your data and provide more significant factors which is contributing to two different periods, and you can analyze your demand plans. And then review and accept changes to confirm purchase orders. So this is where a workspace with tiles and list helps users summarize confirm purchase orders with changes, having the low impact changes, high impact changes, and which is having downstream impact as well. So that gives you overview of your changes, the confirmed purchase order with changes, and the impact that it has to the business. Using the Copilot helps there to generate quick emails, stuff like that. And then workload insights with Copilot in the warehouse management mobile app. So this is showing the work summaries and AI generated insights to help the warehouse worker for better plan their shift. So with that, we will look into the warehouse worker insights. So let's move into the demo. So let's look at workflow history summary. So if you see Julia here as the user, who's logging into the warehouse management app using their credentials pretty much, and then you can see that they have the summaries generated. There are two pick work lines, so you have outbound and inbound, and the counting and replenishment work. What are the pending work there? And then you can see that there are two pick work lines and then zero receiving work line. So it gives you a quick summary and overview of her work to help Julia's work.
Yeah, I really like this because it means that for every employee that starts their shift, they get like a quick summary so that they know what needs to happen for that day.
Yeah, exactly. That's really wonderful. This like gives you a quick summary, as Eliza mentioned. So it's quite helpful for the warehouse workers here. And with that, we'll move into the workflow insight. So this is something that we discussed earlier on the workflow side, that you have a summary that if you go into a workflow and select a workflow here, and then go to instance ID and then select the workflow, then you can get a summary of the workflow. Because previously, if you have a long list of workflow, then you had to run through the workflow and find out what has happened, like which is what we are showing here, like who has been approved. So this, you can see that in the last line, that's employer Julia has been actually approved it. But if you look at on the summary, you don't need to scroll through and find it out. You can get the details from the summary, and it helps you to summarize who did what and when, and that gives you a good workflow history. So these are out of the box Copilot capabilities which comes through with the system Dynamics 365 finance and operations apps. And with that, we will go into generative help and guidance with Copilot app, so that we can see a demo on that. What are the capabilities on there? So this actually, as we mentioned, this is a Copilot as a smart guide sitting right inside your finance and operations app. Instead of searching through pages of documentation or getting stuck on complex tasks, you can simply ask the Copilot and then it will be responding back. So let's look at an example. So here we are asking, what are the Dynamics 365 FO Copilot features? And with that question, you would see that it'll search through all the Microsoft Learn website with all the documentation available, and then it'll provide you all the details from the documentation, summarize it, and you also have the link as well that you can click on the link, then it'll go directly to the Microsoft Learn documentation, which it actually resurfaced, and that's wonderful. So you can get the details. You don't need to go into a separate browser and then type it in and then search it, but you can directly do it when you are there in the finance and operations apps, and that actually searches through entire document library and then gives you the correct information with the links, and then you can go and check it. So with that, let's look at how we can extend these the Copilot for Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. So what are the ways we can extend these capabilities? So let's look at that. So this is kind of the architecture that that we can explain on the Copilot. How do we extend the Copilot of Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations? And so this uses the Microsoft Copilot Studio to orchestrate the AI capabilities and enable the extensible, intelligent user experiences, pretty much. And you can extend the Copilot features using either X++ with Pro Code. Also, another option is what we're gonna discuss furthermore with the demos. You can use the Copilot Studio to extend the Copilot capabilities with Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. And there are out of the box Copilot, which comes like the help and guidance, which we were discussing. So that has a separate out of the box Copilot Studio so that you can extend it. And we will discuss and we will see some more demos on that soon. And also, one of the other ways that the MCP, the Model Context Protocol, which is another interesting thing which is coming up and which is available now, Microsoft Dynamics 365 ERP MCP. So this is a server that exposes tools for Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations apps to agent to talk with the agents, because that is an open standard. MCP is refers to the Model Context Protocol. So that's an open standard that facilitates the connection of AI agents with the various data systems. So having Microsoft Dynamics 365 ERP MCP server, which is really helpful when you're communicating with the agents from the other systems. So there are, as I mentioned, like on the X++, so you can create the client plugins. So user can trigger in-app actions written in X++ code using natural language through the Copilot interface in Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. So with that, today's focus more on the Microsoft Copilot Studio. So let's look at the Microsoft Copilot Studio extension, how we can do that. So the MCS helps to customize or extend the Copilot for finance and operation apps. And as I mentioned earlier, that it also can use to leverage the Pro Code using X++ as well, but we are more leveraging deep diving onto the Microsoft Copilot Studio capabilities. So you can also add the capabilities into the Copilot. You can add plugins into the Microsoft Copilot Studio. So with that, let's look at how we an example that how we can extend the use of Copilot Studio. So let's quickly look at that. So in this demo, we have leveraged so that put in like hi, and then it actually identify which user is actually logged in. So this is extension, so you can get the data of the user data, pretty much the name, full names, and all these details, and then you can resurface based on the topic. So that is extended. And then the next question is, I'm asking, I'm good, thanks, can you please help me with to find the most used forms for the landed cost purchasing agent. So you have purchase order and the voyage, so you have the links directly to it. So imagine that you have new worker coming into your organization. You might need to give them what are the forms that for individual role, and then this is a good use case that you can have individual roles, and then what are the most used forms that they should be using it, and then you have the links directly to it so that they can quickly go and make familiarize, and then they can start. So that is another key use case that I was showing here. That's an extension I've done. So that's another example. And with that, let's look at how do we create a new agent, and a new agent created using Copilot Studio, and an example with that. So let's look at uh, shipping port, or the creating a shipping port. So this is shipping port agent which I've created. So if you have new shipping ports that you want to create, let's say user can go in and type it in, could you please help to create a new shipping port, then it'll ask, okay, what's the port value that you want to create. So that actually leverages behind the scene uh, the action. So that's actually a cloud flow. So the cloud flow is actually going back and creating that value inside that the form in the shipping port. So this is an example. So you can think of different scenarios how you can leverage and apply this thing more extensively. And then you will get the message shipping port is created. And if you go back to the form and then refresh it, you can see that the new shipping port has been added to the shipping ports form. um, so that's a good way you can extend it. And with that, I'll probably also quickly show the flow which have been used behind. So you can go to the if you go to the flows section, you can see the shipping port create and flow. So that's the flow which I have created. And so if you so if you go to the designer, you can see the cloud flow will be generating. So when an agent calls the flow, that will create a record. So that's actually using the finance and operations apps connector, and then respond back to the agent, right? So this is an cloud flow which is actually behind the scene using that, leveraging on the topic. So you go through the topic when the question asked, and it identifies which um, topic to be answering, and then in the topic that you have that cloud flow running, and then that will go back and update the records, right?
Yeah, Kasun, I really like what you showed us there as an example of what, you know, organizations could build as a custom agent for their finance and operations apps. And I think one thing that, we could do in terms of making that process better is perhaps including a
Yeah.
human in the loop just
Oh
to
yes, exactly. Yeah.
review,
That.
yeah, that the
Yes.
shipping port
Exactly.
should be created and someone
Yes.
uses
Yes.
it, and
Yes.
then
Yeah.
the
That's
automation
one of the
will
things I want
continue.
to
Yeah.
discuss as well. Yes. 100%. So these ones, like for the example perspective, I've created, but I mean, you can have a human in the loop to verify. So maybe
Yeah.
user is requesting to for the shipping port, and then someone verifies and then creates it. It might be multiple setups, which will be like you can have a kind of all the requirements to be asked from the questions, and then after that you send it to a human to verify, and then after that, once they approve, it automatically creates all the details in the system. So human in the loop, you can definitely add that in especially that's also good in the responsible AI principles as well. So you have a human in the loop and then verifies the details, and then that once they approve, that goes back and update to the system. Yeah. So let's look at another example, so which is from the same shipping agent that I've created, but this is actually looking at the voyage purchase lines, and responding back like what is an item number that's linked to the voyage that's given 00002. And then you can see that these are the three the transactions. You did see that it's linked to those two items pretty much. And also you saw that there's 3 records, and if we ask how many records are there in the wage purchase lines, that'll actually calculate so and give you the answer. So this is actually leveraging the virtual entities. So
Mhm.
that virtual entity is actually bringing in the information. And also you can use the dual write as well. So if you want to use the dual write, then you dual write entities, because that'll have a physical table. But if you don't want to bring the as a dual write, then you can use the virtual entities, and that doesn't have a physical table, but you have a virtual table that'll like still answer your questions. So you can pick and choose which option that you want to use. um yeah.
This goes back to what you were saying earlier, where if you have new employees and if they don't necessarily know how to navigate their way around the Dynamics 365 finance and operations apps, by interacting with an agent, it allows them to get or review the information that they need to do for their jobs more easily than having to, yeah, fumble their way around the app. So it's really cool. And, yeah, it's nice that it will also use the virtual tables as well as work with Joule, right? So it's really good to know for our viewers today.
Yeah, cool. So let's move into the autonomous agents. So we have 3 autonomous agents, pretty much. Supply communication agent. So that actually gives the Dynamics 365 supply chain management, automates the routine vendor communication. So if you think about the normal supply communication agent, so they would have a lot of back and forth email communication with the vendors, but this actually helps you to read and interpret vendor emails, update the purchase orders with changes. Let's say they might have changed the delivery dates, or they might have changed the quantities they can supply, certain things like that. So they update it back through the emails, but that comes back to the finance operations, and you have an agent that can help you to update these details and then reduce your unnecessary manual workload, pretty much. So this is a supply communication agent. And the other agent, which is interesting one, is account reconciliation agent as well. So this is, you don't need to no longer wait until the month end to catch the financial mismatches with the account reconciliation agent. And Microsoft have transformed this reconciliation from a slow reactive process into a smart proactive one. Instead of you're using static SSRS reports in finance, teams now can get an intelligence workspace that spots the issues straight away using the agent. So that's really wonderful. That really gonna save a lot of time from the users of unnecessary comparison between the SSRS reports. With the agent is quickly identifying and prompting you what are the areas that you should be looking at in terms of the reconciliation issues. And also we have times and expense agent, that the times and expense agent in Dynamics 365 project operations, that automates the time tracking and expense reporting by pulling the data from Outlook and emails, and also drafting the emails, drafting entries as well, and categorizing receipts for quick review and submission. It also helps and managers to enforce the policy compliance and streamlining the approvals. So, time and expense agent is another autonomous agent. So we have 3 agents which are quite good. And with that, I will show some resources which you can use um, to leverage and find more information about it. And I have some articles written by me, and some Microsoft articles, and some videos for you to watch and learn, pretty much. And also the data, one thing to notice as well. So you need to focus when you're creating a Copilot Studio. You need to focus on the data quality and the responsible AI as well, because that is really a key part of it, because the quality of the data is really important, and also adhering to the responsible AI is also really critical. And with that, we have come to the end of the session. And thanks Elaiza, for the opportunity, and also for the everyone who's involved in this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kasun, for joining us on the show. Really appreciate your time for showing us all the built-in capabilities of the Copilot in Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations apps. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.